I had a letter to the editor published today in the New York Times about all these smartphone bans happening in schools around the country. You can pause to read, but I'll also give you a quick summary. So if you didn't know already, states like Florida, Indiana, Louisiana, and South Carolina have passed laws banning smartphones in high schools, and states like California and New York are in discussions about banning smartphones. It's happening rapidly around the country in both Republican and Democrat-leaning states. I'm a social psychologist who researches the impact of social media, and what I know from studying this topic is that we still have relatively little evidence about the impact of these bans, besides correlational evidence and people's opinions, and people have a lot of opinions about this topic. So what I argue is that rather than banning smartphones altogether and assuming that these bans will be effective, is that school districts should work with researchers to conduct randomized control trials to test the impact of these bans. In other words, school districts could randomly assign half of schools to implement these bans and half of schools to not implement these bans, and then you could compare, for instance, mental health and grades between these two sets of schools. These sorts of randomized control trials are sort of the gold standard of evidence within science. They allow you to get at causality, not just correlation. Let me know what you think of these smartphone bans happening in schools in the comments. But whatever you think about these bans, just keep in mind that what we know from psychology is that intuition and common sense is often wrong. It might seem like common sense that banning smartphones in schools will lead to universally positive effects, but until we actually do the science, we don't know whether that's the case.